Hi, I'm Michael Ruger. I'm the managing partner at Greenbush Financial Group. Today we'll be talking about age 70 and a half required minimum distributions. We'll talk about how they work, the deadlines, the tax implications, and a little bit more. So let's start off with the age. So a lot of people think these required minimum distributions, also called RMDs, begin at age 70. They actually begin at age 70 and a half. So if I turn 70 in October of 2019, technically, I don't turn age 70 and a half until April 2020. That's the year the IRS requires me to take my first RMD. And an RMD basically means that you have to take a small piece of your retirement account balance out and pay tax on it. And the IRS has a whole formula for taking out those contributions. So the amount is based on what's called a uniform lifetime table. So if you look at the table, you're going to see two columns. The one column shows your age, and the second column next to it shows the distribution period. All you do is you find your age on the table, you look at the distribution period, you take your 12/31 balance of the previous year and you divide it by the distribution period, and that becomes your required minimum distribution amount. Now the way the math works out is if in the year that you turn age 70 and a half, it works out to about 3.6% of your account balance. So if you have $100,000, it's about $3,600 has to come out of your retirement accounts and you have to pay tax on it. Now, in the year you turn 70 and a half, there's some special exceptions that you have to take into consideration. In most years, you have to take out your required minimum distribution by 12/31 of each calendar year. Now, in the year that you turn 70 and a half, you have a choice to make. You can either take out your required minimum distribution by 12/31, or you can delay it up until April 1st of the following year. Now, why would you delay it? Why would you decide to push it in the next tax year? It's a tax strategy. So if you have more income in the year that you're turning age 70 and a half, you might want to say, instead of taking that $5,000 out and paying tax on it this year and stacking it up on top of my higher income, I would rather just push it in next year, take it in January when I'm in a lower tax bracket. Now, if you have been retired for a while and your income is pretty much the same this year as it will be next year, a lot of times it makes sense just to take it before 12/31. And the reason being is, in that first year, if you delay it to the following year and take it before April 1st, you actually have to take two RMDs in that second year. The one before April 1st and the second one by 12/31, which is the second year you're required to take that RMD amount, so you're kind of doubling up on them. So if you have really not changing tax-wise from year to year, probably doesn't make sense to double stack in the second year, just take one each year. Now, it's very important to take these required minimum distributions by the deadlines, because if you don't, the IRS is going to crack you with a huge 50% penalty. So if I was required to take $5,000 out by 12/31 and I didn't do it, or I came up short, they're going to assess like a $2,500 penalty on the money I should have taken from my own account. So not a great outcome. Now, there are some exceptions to the RMD rule. So if I am still working, I'm still employed, still getting a paycheck, and my only retirement account is the 401k or 403b with that employer, I have an employer-sponsored plan, I do not have to take an RMD until I've officially terminated employment. Even if I'm age 75 and I would otherwise have to take these, as long as I'm still employed, they say, nope, you can keep accumulating your retirement assets. Now, that only applies to the retirement account of the current employer. If you have IRAs, if you have retirement accounts with other employers besides your current employer, you still are required to take RMDs from those accounts, but just not from the current employer's accounts. Now, you can probably find a tax strategy in this, that if I've got this 401k with my current employer, but I've got IRAs and other 401ks and I'm still working and over age 70 and a half, and I don't need the income from these IRA distributions or want it, I can actually, most 401ks will allow rollovers of other 401ks and IRAs into their plan. Why not consolidate all those retirement accounts into my current employer's plan, and then I completely avoid the RMD for that year. There is also if you have those outside retirement accounts. So let's say I have an IRA outside of my employer, required to take an RMD, but I'm covered by an employer that offers me a 401k or 403b. If I have to take $5,000 out of that IRA, I could always turn around and make employee deferrals pre-tax into my employer's plan for $5,000, and that kind of washes the income tax ramification because I'm paying tax from the IRA and then I'm taking the deduction when I made the contribution to the 401k account. Also, sometimes we have spouses that are different ages. One spouse is over age 70 and a half and the other spouse is younger and still working. In that case, they might have to take an RMD, but the spouse is still working, has access to a plan. They can make the pre-tax contribution to their account and kind of, again, wipe out the income because it doesn't matter whose account it goes into. If you file a joint tax return, all your taxable income goes on the top, all your deductions come off. So just like it doesn't matter which account or who's making the contribution to it. Now, for entrepreneurs, for business owners, this whole still working exception does not apply to you. So if you're a 5% or more owner of the business, whether you're working or not, at age 70 and a half, you have to start taking required minimum distributions from your retirement accounts. They realize that you have probably control of your employment status. So if you wanted to say, oh, I'm gonna work one day a month, I'm still working so I don't have to take these RMDs, that doesn't fly. They're gonna require you to take those out. If you have any questions about these RMDs, feel free to contact us at moneysmartboard.com. Thank you.